What's going on, guys? It's Greg Miskos Dies, and the PLL just announced their schedule, and I'm going to break it down for you guys. So we do have the Championship Series coming up at the St. James near DC. That's going to be their sixes format. They also, on New Year's Day, announced their full summer schedule, and there's a lot of comments. I'm going to give you guys a couple things I liked, a couple things I didn't like, and then a couple things that people on Instagram definitely did not like. So starting off with things I liked, I want to start off with the positive for the PLL, is that they open at Albany. This is my favorite thing that they've kept consistent. It's my favorite stadium they go to. I think it's the perfect size. The weather is always really nice at the end of May, early June. Up in Albany, I've gone, I think, every year they've been in Albany, and I really love it up there. So that's now going to be, I guess, New York's home field is Albany, which I love. They always pack that place. It's fantastic. Another thing I really like is a regular season game in Philadelphia. I think with the success of the Water Dogs, now they've got a home field, which is Villanova, which I think should probably be a good size. I like the move to more college stadiums, which brings me to the third thing I really like, is moving from Gillette to Harvard Stadium. Gillette, for me, I went there for the first game ever. It's a really great stadium. It's too big. It just doesn't fit lacrosse when you're getting crowds in the 7,000 to 8,000 in a stadium that seats 80,000. Doesn't feel right. Harvard is still pretty big at 35,000 capacity, or maybe it's 25. But I think it's going to feel a lot cooler being at Harvard rather than Gillette, which I think is a big win. I don't know that I do have three things I don't like, Carson. I may have overpromised. Maybe I'll come up with one thing that I don't like. Okay, so for things I don't love, I think it's weird that they rebranded the Whip Snakes as the Maryland Whip Snakes. It's full of Maryland players, and they're going back to Homewood rather than what I think would have been really fun, the University of Maryland. Because there's so many players, there are the Maryland Whip Snakes. I realize Homewood is in Maryland, but I just think the University of Maryland, the stadium would have made a lot of sense. Homewood, it's where Hopkins plays, a historic stadium. They always pack that place as well. Paul Rabel obviously went to Hopkins, so I think that's always going to be on the schedule. I just thought it'd be cool for the Maryland Whip Snakes to play at University of Maryland, especially with the success of the college lately. So let's dive into a couple top comments of things people didn't like. Number one was that the Redwoods are playing in San Diego. So they've rebranded the Redwoods in California. California is a big state, runs north-south almost the whole height of the country. San Diego is at the very bottom. The redwood trees, the physical trees, are more in the northern part, so people were kind of unhappy that the Redwoods weren't playing where the actual Redwoods were, maybe in like the Bay Area, I don't really know. I think this makes sense. San Diego is fantastic. They also had the World Games in San Diego, so building some lacrosse community out there. It's hard to pick just one place in California, but people wanted the Redwoods to be closer to the actual Redwoods. Second up is there is no Texas on this schedule. I do want to mention that this does not include the playoffs, so it's possible Texas could be a playoff location. In the past, they've gone to the Star in Dallas, the practice facility of the Cowboys. This year, no Texas. People were noting it's a big lacrosse community. That's probably true, but I don't think attendance was fantastic when they went there in the past. You gotta remember, this is a business. They can't just go places just for the fun of it. They need to go places where people are packing stadiums. So people weren't happy about no Texas. They were also not happy about no Canada. So Canada got snubbed out of any teams, which back in the MLL there were Canadian teams. And now no Canada stops. Again, still possible that they have one in the playoffs. I did look it up. The attendance they listed a couple years ago was at Tim Hortons in Ontario at 10,000, so that's pretty good. I think people would love to see a Canada location. I don't know if there's logistical problems with visas and getting people across the border either way. That could be like a back-end business issue that we don't really have visibility into. So people in Canada, you may have been snubbed, but it might not be anything personal, so don't look too deeply into it. And finally, the biggest comment actually wasn't the Midwest. People weren't super unhappy. The team, they wanted the Midwest. There is Minneapolis, Minnesota, which is Midwest. So there weren't a lot of complaints about that. A lot of people were unhappy with no Florida. Florida, just like Texas, is a big growing hotbed. I think they probably will make it to Florida. I don't know, Card, do you know if they've ever played in Florida? I don't think they have. So I think Florida is feeling super shunned by the PLL at this time, despite it growing a lot in lacrosse. I know a lot of the high school tournaments just happened in Florida. So I'd rate that as probably one of the top disappointments. So overall, we will be around this summer touring to some of these locations with the RV. We got a lot of new pros, including one new one to announce. And we're really excited for the summer. So if you have any comments on the schedule, things you'd like to see. People from Florida, if you'd like to complain, throw it down in the comments. We'd love to see it. We are on the road to 200,000 subscribers in 2024, so make sure to hit that subscribe button. Big spring slate of highlights coming at you soon. So make sure to like this video if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't, and have a great day.